In this special episode of Demolition TV, we look at how one demolition company has turned waste into a profitable part of his business. We check out a new website that helps demolition contractors get the best possible price for their scrap metals. And we trial a new app designed to match those with waste materials with those that want to buy them.
Tough as a jackhammer, waterproof and with a 5-year battery life, the Cantrack asset is the ultimate in theft protection for plant and attachments. If it gets stolen, we go get it.
So let's talk about waste. Over the past few decades, the demolition industry has seemingly moved further and further away from its construction cousin and moved closer and closer to the waste industry. The segregation, processing and resale of waste materials can be the difference between profit and loss on a good many UK demolition projects. And many UK demolition firms now double as recycling companies and commodities traders. To look at that trend in more detail, we paid a visit to Robert Collard of R. Collard Limited. In addition to being a respected demolition man and a highly successful racing driver, Collard is recognised as a pioneer in waste minimisation and recycling.
I think I've got quite a fresh approach to demolition sometimes. I'm the sort of first generation in the demolition in the Collard family, and I look at it with also a great knowledge of the waste background, and the waste industry is massively transforming with a lot of technology and a lot of stuff you can recycle now you couldn't recycle 10, 15, 20 years ago. So I feel there's people in the industry that maybe are not up to the current techniques of demolition, and it's all about education and promotion, and me being chairman is one of my sort of tasks that I'm trying to take out to my region. I'm not going to say use the word educate to our members, but it's just to promote what is available to them and look at how much more you can do. There's, you can recycle plastics, UPVC, wood. Everybody looks and thinks about scrap metal being the only commodity on site. It's not. UPVC has got a value. Wood has got a value if it's done correctly. And that's all. There's many other things as well. But when I look at a demolition, I don't look at everything as a waste. And what I try and specialise is I try and specialise turning waste into a product. And whether that's by processing on site, some sites you haven't got that ability from a time restraint or space restraint, so you have to then take that away. But luckily for us, if we're relatively near to our depots in Hampshire, Surrey or Berkshire, we can take that material back and recycle it there and then take that waste, which is a liability, which is a cost, and put it into a credit. This industry is very smart, and everybody's watching what somebody else is doing. So I know I'm very much under the microscope. People are watching what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, and all the guys talk, so the industry is alive with information. So it's a very rapidly changing market, and I believe a lot of the demolition companies now in the south and again across the whole country are definitely changing their view on what is waste, because waste had such a great big title years gone by, because you just knocked a building down, just fired everything into a skip and it went off to landfill and it was never your problem. But most of the people now in the NFDC have to be a sustainable demolition company, have to have some sort of a waste recycling centre behind them, and whether they can always have a job that's near your depot is the perfect win-win scenario. But if it isn't, you still then take that information from site of what you've learned in your yards to site. I'm a firm believer in reinvesting, so I'm permanently, everything I ever earn I reinvest. And we were always looking at the latest technology. I love to go to shows, whether it's Hillhead at the Quarry Show, or the old SED shows, or the Demolition Expos that we have now. I find there's such great places for people to learn from and see what the latest technology is. As much as you've got to sometimes listen to salesmen, but they really have got a lot of information, and that information is there for everybody to use. The margins you're working on in any form of demolition or in waste is all quite small, but if we can earn a bit of profit from demolition and a bit of profit from waste, we're in front of our competition. Yeah. So we're not exactly getting super rich, there's not massive margins in it, but if you're smart enough and you look at and you're getting a percentage of profit from two angles, one from demolition and one from waste, it makes our books look very healthy at the end of the year. People have had to listen and get used to the trends of of the American dollar, which has a massive effect on the scrap market. So that's been a moving target for as long as all of us have been in demolition, and we've all tendered for works when the scrap's been up here, and by the time you win the job, the market's down there, or vice versa, and all of a sudden it's happy days. Waste is a bit like that as well. So you can think, right, I've got an outlet to Germany for X amount of tons of waste, and then all of a sudden it changes. So that is there. Brexit is a major concern at the moment, because a lot of stuff does go out to Europe. But as always in any industry, as soon as one door closes, something else opens, because everybody needs material. The demolition industry is changing. I think you've got to take the image of what demolition was 25-30 years ago to where it is now, which is hugely transformed. We're in a very much a state-of-the-art demolition industry now, where technology is there. It doesn't matter whether it's in the equipment, the diggers, or the attachments that are going on the end of the diggers, or what you're doing with that waste product that's generated from that. Our industry, it doesn't matter if it's demolition or whether it's waste or aggregates, is transformed in the last 20 years. So I think the building industry as a whole has always had a little bit of it's not the best industry to be in from a professional point of view, but now it really is, and it's transformed. And part of my job in the federation is promote to the members how all this information and opportunity is there to recycle waste, to earn a bit more of a margin, because you'd rather see it in the demolition members' pocket than somebody else's pocket.
If you're working close to home, finding a suitable outlet for your scrap metals is pretty straightforward. However, if you're working away from base, it can be difficult to find an outlet and to ensure that you're getting the best possible price. But not anymore, thanks to the new Scraps Away website designed by demolition man Matthew High.
My name is Matthew High. I work for Downwell Demolition. I am a project coordinator, and I've been in the demolition industry for the last 18 years or so. I had an idea to create a website to assist demolition contractors initially to source buyers for their scrap metal. It came about during planning for projects in foreign areas, areas that you're not familiar with. You would look online for local scrap dealers and try and source the best deal for the scrap metal near that project. You can use Google, you can search online, but the features of Google are very limited for individual industries, so I thought there was scope there to expand on the searching capabilities of certain areas, so to include different features and things that benefit demolition contractors and in turn members of the public as well. Once you do the initial search via postcode or town or area, you are presented with a list of scrap dealers in that area, which can be filtered down according to distance. You can then filter additional features such as the metals that they take, the features that they have, the services like whether they offer skips or the types of metal or they collect, things like that. So you can filter down the results to only show you exactly what it is that you're after. Once you search for the scrapyards in your area, you can then see what prices that the scrapyards themselves have actually posted for their scrap metals. So these can be updated as frequently as the scrap dealer likes to. So if prices change per day, then as they very often do, you can update your profile daily or several times a day if you wanted to. So people can then see trending prices and things like that for the different metals that they take. The site's got a page on it for the different metals, the most common metals that are taken by scrap. Obviously there's millions of metals altogether, but the most common ones that are accepted by scrapyards, there is links to the London Metal Exchange, so you can then compare the prices published by the scrapyards against the global metal prices that are being offered. And a lot of the scrap dealers, when I approached them initially, I've had some very positive feedback from the website. They like the layout, they like the ease of use, they like the fact that it's free to be a part of, it's free to use, and yeah, they really have jumped on board. I've had a message from a person the other day who experienced some metal theft, and they asked if I could maybe push out some information on social media to help try and encourage people to come forward if they've been offered the scrap metal. So yeah, people are finding the site, members of the public and companies and so on. So in total there's 680 scrap dealers listed on the site. That's across the entire UK, from England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales. I wanted a platform that you just log on to a website, search, and then you can filter the search results down to the things to the scrap dealers, that only will offer the services that you're looking for, rather than being presented. If you went onto Google at present, if you search for scrap dealers in Essex, for instance, you'll be presented with every single scrap dealer in Essex. You might only want to be selling ferrous metals and non-ferrous, or scrap cars or anything like that. So the feature where you can filter it down means that you're going to save a lot of time visiting numerous websites and making phone calls to companies that don't offer the services that you're looking for. I've spoken to a lot of demolition contractors and I've pushed the site out there, and the feedback has been positive. People are using it. I think in the first month we had 300 users of the site, and it's only been out for 2 months now. So yeah, it's getting used, and hopefully with a lot of social media activity and a lot of promoting the site online, that it will get used a lot more. Yeah, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Yeah, we like to post regular updates and industry news or demolition news or anything that serves the scrap metal industry, and that's worth mentioning. So you'd go to a web browser and go to www.scrapsaway.co.uk. From there you would be presented with a very simple, very easy to use interface, which is a search box. You then type in your local postcode or postcode of a project. You could either type in a town or area anywhere in the UK. You hit the search button and immediately you are presented with every single scrap metal dealer within a 50-mile radius of that location. From there you can then filter down further. So if, for instance, you're not wanting to travel 50 miles, you only want to look for scrap metal dealers within a 20-mile radius, you then filter down to 20 miles or 10 or 5. You can then filter down through services that are offered, like whether the scrap metal dealer offers skips or metal collection, or whether they've got a weighbridge, or whether they've got small scales. For members of the public who've just got a small amount of metal to sell, you can filter down the search results even further. You also have the ability to filter the search results through by ratings as well, because there's an option to go back to the scrap dealer once you've completed your deal and then rate them on their service on a starred basis. We find that people, when they visit online, they do like to share their experiences, whether good or bad. So people do like to go back to websites or these TripAdvisor type platforms and say what they feel. So it's nice to have some sort of feature there where people could obviously give their opinion on what service they've received. Nobody can just log on online and leave a review. You do have to log on using either your Twitter or Facebook account, which gives it some sort of validity to the person. So there's no sort of anonymous reviews or prices that you can submit. These are all able to be viewed by the scrap metal dealer and ourselves, so we can see any sort of malicious behaviour, or if a scrap metal dealer thinks that a review is a bit malicious or nothing to do with an actual transaction that was taking place, we can review it, and if need be, they can be taken down. So we paid the initial fee to develop the website. The plan is in the future to hopefully offer premium listing services. So although there will always be free service, no one will ever be liable to pay anything should they not want to, but there will be additional features available as a premium listing service. So there will be the ability to almost have a web page, a standalone web page for your scrap dealer site. So rather than just basic information, you can build it like with your own login details. You can build and design your own web page.
So Scraps Away has sorted out your scrap metals. But what about the rest of your waste arisings? Well, another demolition man has the answer to that too. Rye Demolition's Andy Hopkins has created a new mobile phone app that allows demolition contractors to find a suitable and local buyer for their waste arisings. And we've bullied him into offering 3 months free to any demolition company listing materials on the app as a result of watching this episode. How does a demolition man, dyed-in-the-wool demolition man, come to be developing an app?
I think it was born initially out of a lot of ideas where it was from frustration, where we have to phone around to different companies. There are lots of elements that we need in demolition, whether it's small skips, large skips, skips for general waste, for lorries for hardcore, concrete, tarmac, asbestos waste. So we used to have to phone around all these and the time, and then phone back and chase them up, and it was just a frustration of having to get these organised. And regretfully, on demolition sites, they only ask you for a skip when they need it in the next 10 minutes, as opposed to when we need it in 2 weeks' time. So it was really from that I thought there must be some way that we could do this quicker and easier, where the skip companies and haulage companies are all looking for work all the time. So to sort of speed up that process and make it easier for both sides of the divide would be to create an app. So that's where it came from.
Still quite a bold undertaking, though, isn't it? Because with the greatest respect, demolition men aren't usually tech savvy enough to go, do you know what, I'm going to develop an app.
Yes, well, that's I think in this modern era, wherever I go into a canteen on any of the big sites nowadays, and nobody talks to anybody. They're all just sitting there on the mobile phone. It may well be Facebook and something else, but again, it's everyone seems quite familiar with using smartphones and apps. Mm-hmm.
So, take me through the app. Let's say I'm a demolition contractor. I'm sat here in Epsom, and I need a skip. What's the process? Take me through that.
It's a simple process. It doesn't cost anything to register, so you just register your mobile phone. You can then put in the specific items that you need, whether it's only hardcore concrete or whether you want asbestos, or whether it's scrap. So there's all the categories are all listed. So you just go in and press on the category that you want. Say you've got some 4 or 5 rolling off lorries of general waste. Click on general waste. It will then direct you to say whether you the 6 to 12 yard skips, rolling off skips, tipper lorries, or just general loads. You put in the number of loads, and it will then give you an area, so you can see it's in the Epsom area, within where I'm at Camberley or whatever. Put in that area, and that is then loaded up onto the app. Everybody who is registered for that category, so if there's a haulage company who just wants crushed concrete, for instance, they could say specific for crushed concrete. As soon as one gets loaded up, well, then they will get notified. You can set the notification to do it every day. You can set it up to do it at 10 o'clock every day, or to do it as soon as one is actually issued. You're then given the contact number, and that is the charge of 1 credit. So the 1 credit to then you get the contact number, you dial straight through to the person who's effectively advertised the item, and you're then in touch and to do your own deal. That's when the app steps away and you just carry on and sort out the process from there.
Okay, so I mean, effectively, obviously the clue's in the title. The fact that it's called the Waste Exchange, it works on an exchange basis.
Yes, it's somebody who wants something, who wants to get rid of something, and somebody who wants it, so that effectively what is rubbish to one person is an actual commodity to another. Same with general hardcore, whatever. That then gets turned in, gets reprocessed and such, and is a commodity. So that's where the exchange idea came from, because you were exchanging one commodity to somebody who wants it for another.
And explain the credits idea. What is, you mentioned 1 credit.
The basis of the credit is it will be as 1 credit that's just under £1. So to actually advertise what you're requiring will cost £1, and for somebody who wants the commodity, it will cost them £1 as well. But the intention really is for a subscription, so it will be a £20 a month subscription for an unlimited use, and that is the idea, because this will only work if a lot of people use it, and so if it's easy to use at £20 a month, I think is a very fair price, and that's for unlimited use. And the more people use it, obviously the more benefit everybody gets from the app then.
And is that monthly subscription on both ends? So it's users and
yes,
it is.
Yes, yeah. Because for me as a demolition contractor, it makes my life a lot easier, and for the waste companies it makes their life easier because the business comes to them. They all employ people who all day long are on the phone looking for those materials. Then through the app they will have it delivered to their door as soon as somebody posts an item.
Okay, so I mean, obviously I guess it's fairly early days.
It is. It's due. The Apple one is up and running, and the Android is approximately 2 weeks away. So at the moment it's obviously a relatively new process, and it's obviously trying to generate the people to use. There are 10 free credits in there at the moment built in for anybody who wants to use it, so they can go in, put in the items that they want, see how it works, familiarise themselves, and hopefully that will give them the comfort to think this could help me, this could be a benefit, and for a relatively small fee that they would then be encouraged to use it.
It's probably an unfair question to ask because it is early days, but what's the sign up been, or the take up been so far?
The take up at the moment, there have been we sent out emails and such like. The read value seems to be about 30%, which at the moment is about 5,000 people. It's been predominantly launched in the southeast of England, and the actual sign up is around about 120 people, but the feedback that I've had so far as well has been positive, and a lot of people on both sides, whether it's on the waste company, the haulage companies, or the demolition contractors. Plus it does also have ground workers because there's muck and such, but a lot of demolition contractors, we do all those sort of functions, and the general consensus has been positive. It would be a benefit to most people.
I had a very quick look through the app myself. One of the things that's in there is this idea of sort of empty trucks coming back from such and such a location.
Yes.
I mean, the very fact that it's an app, so it's real time.
It is, yes.
That seems to me like an invaluable part of the thing.
Well, this was a thought as well, because there are companies that travel into London and will be clearing muck, bringing in crushed, taking muck and such like, and something like this app, as you say, is real time, and that is a benefit to them. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think I would really be interested in any feedback, because you get the feedback, and this is something that is newly developed. It's effectively just an idea of mine that would make my life easier, but I'm sure there's other aspects that someone would look at it and think, if it did this or if it did that, that would help me even more. But the feedback would be encouraging, from the different companies. There is going to be a Facebook page launch and Twitter. It's not something that I personally have been involved in very much in the past, but my people who are with me, they're going to be developing the Facebook and Twitter and the social media side. Yeah. My son's involved as well, so he will keep this going forward, and we'll keep on developing. I think when I sit down and think about it, we've got a whole plant hire industry related to demolition as well. But my initial thought was what I knew, which was demolition and haulage and trying to move all the materials. That's what I'm involved in on a day-to-day basis, and that was where I was looking for something to benefit.